So, that's a great question. And that is very, very important because what you need is a process. You have to understand. Let me speak first about when you said it's probably in the genes. So, there is a genetic code, there is the DNA, the biological DNA, and then there is the social DNA, and then there is the mental DNA. And there are things we inherit from our parents, there are things we inherit from society, there is what is prevalent at that point of time, and then so many things we absorb. And it is through those influences we become who we are, right? It is the sum total. Any individual is the sum total of these social, parental, societal, religious, political, cultural influences, and they shape who that person is. So if we don't like something, what do we have to do? We have to understand. I read this beautiful quote the other day, Sergey, on Facebook, which said, if a flower is not growing well in the soil, you don't change the flower, you don't change the seed. You have to maybe play with the environment a little bit. So we have to see, if I'm not being able to give my absolute best, I have to probably work on changing my internal mental makeup. What is holding me back? I have to identify. So a couple of things that I will recommend is to begin by building awareness. The first step to any change is build awareness, is to spend time with yourself. And keeping a journal is a great way to build your awareness, to figure out, let's take, for example, if I procrastinate a lot, let's say if there's important things, I have a huge to-do list sitting somewhere on my desk, which I should be, following, but I'm not doing it. And I now come to a conclusion, let me sit down. The Japanese have a wonderful technique. They call it the 5 why technique. They say the answer to any question, you can arrive at it after asking the question why 5 times. So let's take, for example, if I say, I tend to procrastinate a lot. I was supposed to write a book, but I have not written a book. And I'll ask, why have I not written a book? And then my answer would be, because I've been traveling a lot for my motivational talks, so I did not get the time, right? And why? And the next question I will ask is, why am I traveling so much for motivational talks so that I don't get enough time to sit down and write? And the answer will be, because my whole business model is oriented towards going to conferences in person and delivering talks, and from that I get my speaker fees. And then I ask why again, and finally I get to probably the core of the problem. So I think the same way, in identifying our limiting beliefs, we also have to figure out what is the core of the problem here. If I feel the fear that somebody's going to walk into the studio right now and tell me you're fake, you're fired, I need to identify what is the core of this feeling, and by thinking about it, this process of self-questioning, I now build some awareness. Maybe I get a few answers like, that's how my teachers always make me used to feel, or that's how I grew up in an environment where there was a lot of fear around and whatever. And then once you begin to ask those questions, now the answers emerge. I think it was Peter F. Drucker who said, it's not about the answers, it's about asking the right questions. And the right question is, what is stopping me? Why am I not doing this is a wrong question. If everyone is capable in their own way, we all have within us the seeds of greatness to achieve great things. But if something is stopping me, it must be somewhere. The handbrake is inside. And if the handbrake is inside, I also have the process to overcome it. Great tool that I use, and I would recommend all of you also, is to write down the answer to the question, who am I? It's a great exercise. Once you finish today, take a blank sheet of paper, and write down the answer to the question 10 times, who am I? And your challenge is you have to answer it in positive terms, right? You have to give 10 positive statements about yourself. For example, if you were to ask me, who are you? I'd say, I am somebody who has committed his life to helping uplift the lives of other people. If you were to ask me, who are you? I will say, I am someone who has spent 16 years across the world learning the intricacies of human behavior. So you will see, deliberately, I will not even give one negative answer. And, it's going to be a tough exercise because most of us, we are very good at finding faults with ourselves. But if you have to find out 10 good things about yourself, it's going to take time. But what I encourage you to do is to take a blank sheet of paper and write down the answer to the question, who am I? Sergey, you can ask yourself this question, who am I? Write down 10 positive statements and keep it in your jacket somewhere handy. And when you're traveling and when you're unsure about it, read it and breathe it. and take it inside and put some nice music on and believe in it. And that's how you create a brand new story, which is very important. Our lives are the results of the stories we tell. Okay. So if I were to tell you a story about, things have always been very difficult for me, see, if you meet a stranger and you were to introduce yourself to him, listen to yourself. What is the story you are telling? Is it a negative story or is it a story full of possibilities, right? Change the story and you change your life, both the one that you have lived and the one that you are about to live. You create it here in your mind first. And this space, this real estate right here, nobody owns it. You own it and you have full control over it. It just takes some exercise, just like going to the gym and lifting weights and making your physical muscle stronger. In the same way, you can make your mental muscle stronger also.